Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition right here on Thumb Coast TV. I'm Brady Beedon. He's Dennis Stuckey, and we are excited to get back into high school football. It's been a short summer, but a long summer because it feels like it's been a while since we sat at this desk and did a show. Dennis, week one of football is here, and we got a pretty darn good slate of games coming up.
A lot of games that are very interesting and I think very important, even though it's week one of the football season, because we've got a lot of area teams that want to prove they're still on top. We've got a lot of area teams that want to prove that they can challenge this year. And we've got some football teams that are saying, hey, we've been pretty weak for a while, but we think we can make a move this year and be a threat.
Well, we're going to start with a team that we both think is going to be pretty darn good this year, the Port Huron Northern Huskies. They go down to Redford Thurston. Thurston has had success in, I would call it a weaker league. Like I would take the Mac Blue Northerns League over their league, but they're a team that's improved a lot over the last 2 seasons. Like 3 years ago, I think they went winless, and last year they were a playoff team. Now, they didn't fare well in the playoffs, but they were a playoff team. Northern, a very strong team. Headlined Lincoln Watkins, Amir Moreland, 2 Division I prospects, or 2 signees, I should say, or commits, and a lot of other talent around them. The big question is who's going to be the quarterback for them come Thursday night. Now, I think we're both in agreement. The quarterback isn't going to be asked to do a lot. They're not going to have to put the weight of the offense on their shoulders, but that's still the biggest question mark for this Northern team going into the Thurston game.
Yeah, but I like their defense. Special teams are going to be good. And again, you have the 2 best players on the field, and I think Northern's going to be all right. Whoever the quarterback is, whether it's the freshman or whether it's Cam Haryu, I think they'll be insulated enough. I think there's enough weapons around them and enough ways that you can get the ball into the hands of those people without having to be outrageous about what you're doing. They don't have to throw the ball a million miles downfield. They can dink and dunk, and when in doubt, hand the ball off to Cade Hiller.
That's the thing that we mentioned Amir and we mentioned Lincoln. Cade Hiller's out there. If Cam Haryu's not the quarterback, he's another great weapon to have. And they're going to have some other guys that maybe only catch it a few times, like Norrell Jordan at tight end, the guy that didn't play a lot because of Lincoln Watkins at tight end, but is a weapon. There's a few guys like that where the quarterback, no matter who it is going to be the defense's like 4th or 5th biggest priority when the ball snaps.
We went to camp and everybody kept mentioning Lincoln's name. He was at PH last year, and he's actually a threat at wide receiver too, plus he's really good in the secondary.
Absolutely. So they go open at Redford Thurston. They've never played them. Again, we'll see where they are, but I think we're both expecting a Husky win. PH has got a little bit of a taller task when Anchor Bay comes into town. Now, Anchor Bay has a lot of turnover at the coaching staff. PH, a lot of turnover just personnel-wise. They lost a good class. I said this on our podcast, but I'd say that between the teams that had the same opener in 24 as they do in 25, this one looks the most different just in terms of, like I mentioned, Anchor Bay's coaching, PH's players. Even Anchor Bay lost some pretty good players. What do you make of this one?
PH has experience on the offensive line, which means they'll have experience on the defensive line too, probably. They have size. Seppo is healthy. He makes a difference. Who am I missing?
You have Tesla, you've got Higgins.
And Higgins, they're huge. The Miller kid on the other, I think
Volpe's
it's Miller.
The other big one.
Volpe's another one, and then on the defensive side of the ball, they've got the kid's just a giant. I like Gilbert at quarterback. I know he hasn't played a ton, but he's played a little, and I like his mentality. We know he's a smart kid. We know he's a competitor, and he does not want to lose. And then Price will get a chance to be the running back this year. Will he be Jalen Young? Well, let's wait and see. But for me, if PH can control the line of scrimmage and chew the clock up and have long drives, they got a chance in this game. I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm saying they got a chance.
Yeah, you can't get yourself down 14, 2 scores early where, like Northern, with a new quarterback, if they make a mistake, I'm not going to panic if they fumble a snap or something. Now, obviously, Northern doesn't want that to happen. But for PH, you got to at least get off to a clean start and start to get a little confidence, because it's a lot of first time starting or first time being the guy for a lot of these PH kids. I think that's going to see how long it takes them to adjust to it, because I don't really know what Anchor Bay is going to be this year. Again, new coach, Tim Brandon. He was long time at Grosse Pointe South, defensive coordinator. Everyone I've talked to says he's going to be a good coach. He's going to be fine. But anytime there's a coaching change, you at least have a little bit of reservation. You go, all right, let's see how this goes.
If you go look back at Grosse Pointe South the last few years, a lot of shutouts.
Yes.
They'll be good defensively, probably.
All right. Conference we didn't pay attention to last year, the Matt Gold. That's where Marysville resides in 2025. They open, as they have the last 3 years, with Almont. Now, Almont's gotten the better of them the last 3 years, especially the last two. They haven't scored on them since the first time they met. Last year was a little different because Zach Winston got hurt not even a week before the game. Makes a big difference. Yeah. Knock on wood, they seem to have come out of the scrimmage and camp healthy. If they are healthy, not saying they're going to beat Almont, but if I'm a Raider fan, I wouldn't be celebrating at the tailgate going, all right, another 35-0 victory for our Raiders.
Well, I mean, both these teams have some questions. Love the amount of kids that have come out for Marysville. I think of our area schools, they have the biggest turnout. Mm-hmm. There's over 100 kids in the program, and 50 are going to play varsity ball. And I also don't think that there are many kids that are just on the football team just to be on the football team. I think they've got players, so I think there's a little depth. So they have an advantage there over a lot of teams in the area. But their guys have got to be guys right off the bat. They're the guys that they think are their stud players have to be a stud player, or Almont's going to get you. Almont doesn't rebuild, they reload. And I know they lost a lot of guys. They've got a lot of guys that are going to fill those holes. Trust me, Almont's going to be good.
They're going to be good, but the question is, how quickly will it click? Because new quarterback, new running backs, even if it takes a quarter or a half, it's going to take a little bit of time. And you always wonder, like, there's always that little bit. Like, yes, they have like Stewart and Boholski at running back. Those are two guys that, while they weren't the guys, they played in meaningful snaps. Lane at quarterback's a little different, and then defensively they have to replace some guys. There's some position battles that waged on during camp. Marysville, while yes, Almont has dominated them, would I be shocked if they won this game? Absolutely not. I feel like I'm giving them, and you as well, giving them a bigger chance than the general public is.
Yeah. I'll say this. I think Lane, and I like Davidowski, but I think Lane has a better arm. And Lane might be more of an option to run the ball than Davidowski did. He was just a great distributor for that offense. He knew how to get the right guys the ball in the right situation. I think Lane is a little more dynamic, maybe. Again, I've been waiting for Stewart to be healthy. The kid can play. Boholski can play, and they got a couple of other guys that came up, and it was mop up last year, but you can tell they're players. Almont's going to be fine. The question is defensively, will they be able to stop Marysville? Because again, Marysville's got another nice sized team, and Almont does it with speed.
Yep, I did want to mention that the PH Anchor Bay game, that'll be right here on Thumb Coast TV. Ryan Cuddy will be on the call, 7 o'clock kickoff on Thursday night against Anchor Bay, because you will be at Marysville. Almont, out in Almont, that'll be on Get Stuck on Sports, stream number 1. Pre-game about 6:30, 6:25, depending on how talkative the coaches are for the pre-game interview. You'll be out at Almont. I'll be at East China Stadium for Richmond and St. Clair. And we've talked about it for about a month now. This is a huge game for both sides. If either side loses, they can still make the playoffs. And in fact, Richmond did make the playoffs last year. But for both sides' credibility, is kind of hinging on this one. St. Clair has about 3 games we care about. Week 1 against Richmond, Week 3 against Marine City, Week 9 against Northern. The rest, they should be able to take care of business, and this is probably the most gettable of those 3 games.
Yeah, the question isn't going to be, are you going to have a winning season? Are you going to be a playoff team? The question is, are you going to be a good playoff team that has a chance to win in the first and second round?
Are you going to host playoff games?
Yeah. So this is a huge game. The Saints got them in a high-scoring game last year. Richmond won a couple of lower-scoring games the 2 years before that. I think if the Blue Devils want to have success, they want to keep it low-scoring. And I think if St. Clair wants to have success, they don't mind a shootout.
Is there a better quarterback matchup? I know Benetti is a new quarterback, Don Benetti being the new quarterback, but Farkas and Benetti, if we got into a track meet, it wouldn't surprise me. Those two could put up some big numbers.
Yeah, Farkas is kind of a stud, and Benetti is just such a good athlete that you can't picture him not doing well at the position.
Right, and Richmond brings a lot back, and I know for the Blue Devils, this is the year they kind of want to step up and knock off a Croslex, knock off a North Branch, and Almont, and Armada. Now, the last game last year, 7-7 against Armada at halftime in the postseason. We weren't expecting that. Not saying this game, now they have beaten St. Clair in that time, and I don't know if St. Clair's quite on the level of some of those teams, but I've almost used it as a qualifying round.
Yeah.
If you win this one, now when you match up against Croslex in week 3, we're going to go, okay, you've at least earned the right for us to take this game seriously, and you've auditioned. I think I used the American Idol comparison that, hey, you got your golden ticket to Hollywood. Now everyone here is a good singer, a good football team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then on Friday night, the second game of my back-to-back, Armada Marine City. Going to be a fun one. It's really like the main event of week 1. Again, about a 6:30, 6:25 pregame for a 7 o'clock kickoff out at Armada.
Can we just start with no time on the clock and Marine City's going for 2?
Has happened, essentially that's happened 2 out of the last 3 years. But Dennis, both these teams have to reload a lot off of championship winning teams last year. For Marine City, a regional, for Armada, a district. But man, listen, I don't know if it's their own hype machine, but Armada is very excited for what they've got. And they're selling us that they've got a big team, they've got an athletic team. Yes, they've lost some really nice players, but oh yeah, Jackson Malberg's still there. That alone gives them a chance, but that is becoming a program there, much like what Marine City has done for 2 or 3 decades now.
Yeah, a similar situation for both teams, because Ruse is the new quarterback at Almont, replacing Pratt. Ruse might be a little more mobile. They like his arm. And at Marine City, you've got Volkman going in at quarterback, a young guy, but we like Tucker Volkman with it. This kid's going to be good. And love Osterland's attitude about going to running back. He's kind of that kid that he likes being a linebacker, and he's going to like being a running back. So this is a fun matchup. I think Armada has the size advantage. But we've seen small Marine City teams go in against bigger teams and figure out a way. They need to figure out a way. They've lost 3 straight to Armada. This is, I think, a big deal to them. And Armada is going to be Armada. They're going to try to bully them and say, not on our watch, baby.
And this is becoming a rivalry. And I think it's not like hated, but it's respect that they both know each other's good programs. And it gets under Marine City's skin that Armada's gotten them 3 times in a row. I think you have to go back to probably maybe they played Orchard Lake St. Mary's 3 postseasons in a row, or Flint Powers. Besides that, you have to go back to the Walt Braun Marysville days to find a team that's beaten Marine City 3 times in a row. And now you're getting into the territory before I was born.
Yeah. And again, this will be a really, I think, good competitive game again this year. And both these teams, we know it about Marine City. They don't rebuild, they reload. And Armada, I think, is getting to the point where we can say Armada does not rebuild, they reload.
I think some people are going, well, Armada lost such a good class, they're going to have a dip.
They've got Malberg, they've got Klee.
We had some of the
best kicker in the area.
The outgoing seniors were telling us, yeah, this gonna be junior class is better than us.
Yeah.
And they have no reason to lie to us.
No.
So I'm going to say it's going to be a good one. If you just want to see a good high school football game Friday night, go to Armada. I'll have it on Get Stuck on Sports Stream 2. 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff. But that's only half of the Week 1 slate. We still have the rest of the BWAC. Cardinal Mooney and Algonac will battle in Week 1. Should be a fun rest of the games. Let's take a break, come back, we'll talk about it here on the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition, right here on Thumbcoast TV.
Bring your family and friends to the Boat the Blue Antique and Classic Boat Show, September 5th and 6th at the James C. Atchison Marina in Port Huron.
Enjoy free rides on classic boats like Chris Crafts and Garwood, see stunning vintage and modern racers, and vote for your favorite in the People's Choice Awards. There's even a special vote just for kids.
There's fun for all ages, an art contest, live artists, unique vendors, great food, and awesome kids' activities like boat painting, face painting, and balloon twisting.
Don't miss the America's Best Frisbee Dogs performing amazing tricks with audience participation.
It's a full weekend of boats, fun, and family memories. Learn more at boattheblue.org.
Welcome back to the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition, right here on Thumbcoast TV. Brady Beedon, Dennis Stuckey. Let's go to the rest of the Week 1 slate in the Blue Water area. Fun Week 1 matchup. You'll be here Friday night because Mooney can't play a home game when St. Clair's there, so they're playing Friday as well. Algonac at Mooney. Same drill, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff. This one came down to a walk-off field goal last year. Dennis, you weren't there for that one, but you'll be here for this one, and this should be a very entertaining game.
I would absolutely love it if it was as good as last year's game between these two teams, because it would do two things. Be a great game, and two, it would really give me encouragement for both of these teams moving forward. Like if one team blows out the other, I'm going to be worried about the team that gets blown out the rest of the way. Mooney's got a playoff streak going. They're trying to become a program, and I think this is a pivotal year for them. They have a favorable schedule, I think, if they're any good, but that's what we're going to find out in Week 1. Are they really any good? Because they change over a lot of people. I think at all the skill positions, they've got a turnover. So there's some questions for me about Mooney going into Week 1. And, you know, it's odd to say that we've been hearing good things about Algonac, but as far as Algonac goes, nobody has really said anything negative about it. The numbers are decent, their size is decent, and most people like their quarterback.
Well, Cole Thaler's a 3-year starter. I mean, he got hurt his sophomore year, so that put a damper on things. But he's back again. And we put on our football preview pod, where we talked for 2 hours. We did a lofty goal for each team. And the one for Algonac was be an upset away from the playoffs, and which I think is possible, but you have to beat Cardinal Mooney. And for Mooney, you know, their schedule you mentioned is a little softer. If they win this game, now you can start thinking about hosting playoff games, maybe multiple, and like you said, have a program, get 6-7 wins. Yes, they lose a lot, but a good program reloads, doesn't rebuild. So this is a very curious one, and I'm excited you'll be there to see it because I like both Coach Killian and Coach Matska. They kind of came in about the same time. Coach Killian kind of took the baton from Coach Cannell, where Coach Matska literally had to hit the reset button.
Yeah, he had to start from the beginning because they took a year off.
And now hoping that they can win this game and then parlay that into more wins on the rest of the schedule. This next game we're going to talk about, Croslex hosting Swan Valley. You can tell me if it's being a little too much hyperbole with this. It is the most consequential Week 1 game we cover, because Croslex, their first 5 games, there ain't a cupcake in the bunch. And they are replacing a lot, especially up front. Their numbers are a little down this year. So for Croslex, how important is this game against Swan Valley?
I think it's really important. It could be the difference between a good start to the season or an absolute horrific start to the season, because as you said, Now, for Croslex, they're going, hey, we're one of the top teams in the BWAC, so we've got a chance to win all of these games. But I don't, if they're 5-0 through 5 weeks, then they might be state championship quality team. They're certainly going to make a deep run in the playoffs.
Here's their 5 games. Home to Swan Valley, at Armada, at Richmond, home to North Branch, at Almont. If you come away 3-2, you'll have big fans out of me and Dennis, and we like our Pioneer football.
Yeah, and again, keep in mind, as tough as that is, they've owned Richmond. They've kind of had North Branch's number.
Swan Valley.
And they've owned Swan Valley. So they're looking at it as those are 3 wins, and if we just split Almont and Armada, we're 4-1, and we're probably on top in the BWAC.
But here, there are some changes, like we mentioned. Most of that offensive line has turned over. And what Mike Holes was able to do last year as they were breaking in Jax Johnston, who is a stud, absolute cannon on the kid from Croswell, he was able to go, all right, we're going to slow this game down, we're going to go single wing, and we're going to control the pace of this game. I don't know how much they're going to be able to do that with an offensive line that's going to be learning. And 2, Swan Valley wasn't ready for that last year. They had no idea that was coming. I mean, you talk about a curveball.
Yeah.
You're expecting a team going to spread it out a little bit and maybe run some, run it out of a spread, out of the shotgun, and they go, here's the single wing. Yeah, that's something they weren't ready for. So you're not going to have the element of surprise. And, again, those young offensive linemen that don't have the Hermans running behind them anymore, those are all going to be things that might take a little bit of time to build back up.
Well, here's my hope is that Swan Valley's wasting time on the single wing, and Johnston to Slanik is cooking right off the bat this year, and Croslex doesn't have to change it up.
That would be ideal. That would be very ideal. We are the game won't be broadcast, but our friend Joe Cook will be up there basically reporting on it, probably tweeting out the scores for us. So Joe will get to see a good game, and I'm glad that we're going to have someone with 2 eyes on it that knows ball, so we can get an idea.
Last undefeated regular season Viking quarterback.
Exactly. that Joe Cook.
That Joe Cook.
But the other thing is I just don't know what Swan Valley is. They're usually a decent program. Like they haven't been state title good, but they also haven't bottomed out. They've been solid.
They're usually a playoff team. They don't go many years missing a playoff.
So a good test. I love that it's at home though for Croslex, because otherwise I'd have been a bit worried. Here's another game that tickles my fancy. Flint Powers comes to Emily City, and on surface level, you look at the brand name, Flint Powers, baseball, they've been incredible. Basketball, they've been pretty solid. Football, not as much. And Jeremy Furman, who is at Almont and North Branch, is the head coach out there now. And Emily City's starting to build up a little bit. Powers did not have a great year last year. They beat teams that weren't very good, and they lost to all the teams that were. Am I crazy to say this is a winnable game for Emily City at home?
I don't think it's crazy to say it, but you got to do it to convince me. We love Coach Brown. We love his enthusiasm. We love that he's got things going in a positive direction. Now they need to back it up with some wins. This would be a really nice one to get on the resume. The part about it is we know Jeremy Furman usually has good football, and he's had some time to work with this group. I know their numbers are down, but if they do things the way he likes to do things, they're going to be tough.
Yes, but there are...
Emily City, because you mentioned this on the podcast, Emily City's seen this offense before, but they haven't stopped it.
No, but again, the straight T is what Furman runs. You have that or very, very slight variations of that in the BWAC. So it's it's not crazy. It's not like when they play a city team and they've never seen the wing T or the straight T before. They know how to line up against it. And you know what the offense is going to be. There's no surprises. Emily City might actually have the numbers advantage and have more kids than Powers. That doesn't happen a lot, and it's at Emily City. Now, all of those things do not mean guaranteed, absolutely lock of the week Emily City's winning. but it makes me like the Spartans in this matchup a little bit. That, you know what, even if they don't win this game, I'll be disappointed if we're back on Thursday night looking through the scores and it's up Powers 35, Emily City 10.
Yeah, that too. I'd like to see them get competitive, but quite frankly, to have the magical season, they need to win in week one. It's one of the, I think they have 4 50-50 games that if you can get, then it gives you 5 games to pull off one upset, and hey, you're actually a playoff team.
And you have a winning record for the first time in 6 years, 7 years. What do you know about the Gaylord Blue Devils? Because that's where the North Branch Broncos are heading on Thursday for their season opener.
A few years ago, they were really good. I think they were down last year. Gaylord's a beautiful city. The bus ride doesn't bother me at all. I think it gives the Broncos more time to focus. I'm kind of high on this Broncos team, and I'm very interested to see how they do here in the early going. This is no Caro. I'm not expecting them to go up and win 60-0 and only have to play a quarter and a half of football. But I do expect the Broncos to go up there, and I'm looking for them to get a win, to get off to a good start. Again, they bring back Bickle, they bring back Gorman, and everything else around them is pretty solid.
Yep, and I think the numbers are going. Chris Sikora now in his 3rd season, looking for that one signature win. And while Gaylord's not a win to sneeze at, it might not be that big one. Similar-ish to Richmond. If you win this one, now I'm going, ooh, at Croslex week 4. Armada at Almont week 7 and 8. Those could be league title games.
Yeah.
Especially if you go up to Gaylord and get a convincing win.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what Gaylord is. Not an idea. Again, they were 11-1 2 years ago. They were 3-6 last year. I'm going to guess they're somewhere in the middle.
And let's be honest, and this is not something that we've talked about a ton, but they were a playoff team last year, and they didn't get in.
North Branch you're talking about. They were 6-3, yes.
They're peeved about that, and I think the mission this year is to make sure they get into the playoffs.
And it starts with this game. Final game to talk about, Yale at Schwartz Creek. Schwartz Creek and Yale have been very similar programs over the last 2 years, and the point differential the last 2 seasons is, I think, +4 in favor of Schwartz Creek. But that's been enough for 2 wins over the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and they've only won 6 games, so a third of their win have been against Yale. It's time for Yale to turn that around. And again, the numbers are down at Yale. All Yale's been hearing is how, maybe they're not even as good as Algonac and Imlay City. Well, this is the game. Beat Schwartz Creek at Schwartz Creek, and you're the favorite in those games that people are saying you're not the favorite in anymore.
Well, the big concern we had about Yale, health, because their numbers are a little down too. Don't have to worry about health in week 1. You want to come out healthy, but going into the game, you should be as healthy as you'll be all season. So that's a big plus for the Bulldogs, because Garrett Grunman liked all the guys he had in most every spot. He just didn't have a lot behind those guys should they go down. So I'm thinking he's pretty confident going into Schwartz Creek.
Yeah, the thing with Yale is I don't know a lot about it. I know Hubbard, the quarterback, is pretty solid.
Hayward
is a big bubba who can push people around, and you need that in the BWAC to survive. But I don't know much else about this football team and who the guys are going to be that carry the load, or are they going to spread it out through several guys? So those are things that we're going to find out as we go along.
All right, we got about 2 minutes left. We're going to rifle through the thumb. Start in 11-man in the Big Thumb Black. Harbor Beach hosts Cass City.
Harbor Beach, Cass City, that's a great game. Those are great rivals. Beach, I just think, is a little bit better than everybody else up there.
Not rivals, because they're very far away. Marlette hosts Manchester. The Flying Dutchman, one of the best nicknames in the state. But the Flying Dutchman fly up to Marlette. What are you expecting in this one?
Marlette's got to win this game. This was one that they dropped last year, and they never really recovered the rest of the season.
Now, Manchester was a good team. They won 7 games and were in the playoffs, so they didn't lose to a bad team.
No, but Marlette, again, it's a tough league. I'm sorry. You've got Harbor Beach and Ubly. You're not winning your league, so you're playing for the playoffs right from the start. Manchester is a game you need to get.
Ubley goes to Elkton Pigeon Bayport Lakers to take on the Lakers. A lot of turnover at Ubley, brand new coaching staff. What do we make of the Bearcats?
This is interesting because what does the new coach do? Does he go in and try to change what has worked for a century? Or does he go, hey, you know, they've been doing things, so I'm just going to keep doing what they've been doing? One
team in the Big Thumb White, Sandusky goes out to Saginaw Novell.
Yeah, this is a tough game. I would rather Sandusky opened at home against Novell. Novell can be a tricky place. Some years they're really good. Some years they're not so good. I really don't know what they're going to be this year.
All right, rapid fire through 8-man. Brown City at Messick.
Brown City's going to win big.
K-Pack at Potterville.
Go K-Pack.
They're going to win big. Deckerville at All Saints in Bay City.
All Saints might give them a go for a little while, but Deckerville's going to win that game.
Dryden up at North Huron.
I like Dryden.
And, you know, North Huron, they have a coaching staff change because their coaches went to Ubley.
Yeah.
In the Big Thumb Red, we have CPS host Caseville in the non-conference of their two matchups.
Mike Gallagher told me CPS is looking good, so I'm thinking CPS.
And Peck hosts Mayville.
Peck is supposed to be really good, but Mayville is one of those teams from the upper league, and the upper league just kind of owns the Reds. So I'm interested to see how this game goes. I think it'll be high scoring.
All right, that'll do it for the Week 1 preview here in the 2025 high school football season. Join us next week. We'll actually have some games to talk about, so that will be fun. Again, on Friday night on Thumbcoast TV, Anchor Bay comes to Port Huron High. For Dennis Stuckey, I'm Brady Beedon. We'll see you next week here on the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition, right here, Thumbcoast TV.